Dear Paul, well, I didn't get the job. Resilience is all about how you adapt, recover, and continue to function in the face of adversity. And the good news is, it's not something that you either have or don't have. Evidence from resilience research indicates that it's something that you can develop. So in this video, I'm going to take you through 5 evidence-based practical steps that you can use to respond more resiliently when life doesn't quite go according to your plans. My plan is to stare at this rejection letter and then pretty much write off my future. And that's exactly why step 1 is to steady yourself before you try and make sense of what's happened. When you're upset, angry, or disappointed, your inclination is often to try and make sense of things very quickly. And sometimes the sense and meaning that you take from a situation is not very accurate. For example, I didn't get this job becomes I'm not good enough. So when you get hit with a setback, don't demand wisdom from yourself immediately. First, make a conscious effort to bring your level of emotional arousal down, so you at least have a chance of looking at things more rationally. Do whatever works for you to get some distance between you and the setback. That might mean going for a walk, making a cup of tea, hitting the gym. So basically doing anything but ruminating over the source of the setback. Exactly. When your emotions are running high, the goal isn't to solve a problem immediately, it's to create enough mental space so that you can respond rather than just react. Okay, I'm calmer now, but once I've steadied myself, how do I work out what I'm supposed to do next? Now I want to know exactly why they rejected me, who they hired instead. And that's why step 2 is separate what you can control and influence from what you can't control. After a setback, it's easy to swing between 2 equally unhelpful extremes. One extreme is complete self-blame. Should have been able to prevent this. And the other is complete helplessness. There's nothing I can do about it. But most setbacks sit somewhere in the middle of those extremes. A useful question to ask yourself is, what part of this is mine to work on? For example, you can't control the decision of a previous job application, but you can influence the outcome of your next application. The aim is to stop expending mental energy wrestling with the parts of a situation that you can't change, and instead redirect some of that energy towards parts of a situation where action is possible. Okay, I guess that makes sense, but how do I stop the list of things that I can do from becoming completely overwhelming? This is where I often get stuck. I know there are things I can do, but I always seem to turn it into a huge project. Redo my CV, practice my interview techniques, apply for more jobs, rethink my career. That's why step 3 is take one meaningful action. Resilience often begins with one small move that restores your sense of agency. That could be something as simple as sending a polite email asking for feedback on a rejected job application. So just make the next useful move. Exactly. Research on goal setting suggests that people make more progress when goals are specific, behaviourally clear, and appropriately challenging. And evidence on progress monitoring suggests that tracking progress can help people follow through with their intended goals. So after a setback, don't start with a massive project. Start with a simple action and be specific about how you're going to implement it and assess whether that action is helping you make progress. One action feels possible, but what if I'm stuck in my own head and don't really know what would help? I really struggle getting advice. I either tell nobody or seem to tell the wrong person far too much detail. That's why step 4 is ask for the right kind of support. When something goes wrong, people often get told, just talk to someone. And that's not terrible advice, but it is incomplete. Sometimes you just need emotional support. Sometimes you need practical support. And sometimes you need accountability. A better question is, what kind of support do I need? And who is most likely to give that kind of support well? So I shouldn't just go straight to the friend who turns every minor inconvenience into a drama series. Not as your first option. Research on social support suggests that relationships can help people cope with stress, but support isn't automatically helpful just because someone else is involved. So be specific in your request for support. You could say something like, I don't need solutions yet, I'm just looking for a bit of reassurance. That way you're not just asking for support, you're helping the other person support you effectively. But even when someone else helps me, part of me still thinks this rejection proves something about me. This is all well and good, but the fact is, I still didn't get the job. And my brain keeps wanting to turn this into, maybe I'm just not good enough. Well, that's why the final step is change the conclusion, not the facts. Resilience isn't denial. You don't have to say, it doesn't matter, I didn't want the job anyway. Sometimes the setback does matter, and it can be genuinely painful. The aim is not to change that fact, but rather the conclusion that you attach to that fact. The fact might be, I didn't get this job, but the conclusion doesn't have to be, I'm useless, I always fail, no one will ever hire me. A more resilient conclusion might be, well, this is painful, but it's one setback. So you mean I need to reframe the rejection as a data point rather than a verdict on me as a person? Exactly, and that distinction is really important. Rationally speaking, one failure is not an indictment of your entire character. This isn't about forcing positivity, it's about thinking rationally. You're allowed to be disappointed, you're allowed to take the setback seriously, but you don't have to let it write a false biography about who you are. So, let me get this straight. Resilience isn't about pretending this rejection is fine. No, resilience isn't about denying a setback or bouncing back instantly. It's about learning to recover, respond, and keep going when things don't turn out the way you'd hoped. Be good to yourselves and each other, and I'll see you in the next video.